Hi there, everyone. It's Deborah Jason, author of Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget, Upside Down,
Yes.
and DeborahJason.com. And you're on the Marketing Blab with Deborah. So
Yay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're calling us from or dialing in from. I'm just happy that you took time out of your busy day to join me and my special guest today. And my special guest is Michelle Hoglan, who's over here.
Right. We figured out the pointing thing. Hi, everybody. Very happy to be here.
Here from Colorado. So she lives up near Bailey and I'm in Boulder. And actually, it's a beautiful story about my connection with Michelle because we never met. And somewhere on, I think it was Facebook, she saw something about my book and ordered it. Yes. So we started to be in touch that way. And then she posted a lovely photo of herself with the book. And next thing I knew, we were at a social media marketing event and we got to meet face to face. And since then, we've been fast friends. So welcome, Michelle. Thanks for being here on today's Marketing Blab. And for those people who don't know you, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and what you want people to know about Michelle Hoglan?
Okay. Well, actually, I am a business owner, a mom, and happily married to my partner in crime, Brett. And we decided to start this business a few years ago to be able to spend more time with our family and to travel. We've got, relatives all over the United States, and just to be able to go be somewhere when someone needs us, or, spend the extra time and take those vacations with the kids because they're teenagers. Our son's a senior and he's leaving for college next year.
Heart flutter.
Yes, I can't believe it. But it was just a way for us to do things that we enjoy with our kids and still be financially sound. We absolutely love what we do. We started out mainly with social media, and then, took a step back and realized that there's a foundation you have to start with your company first, and that's with online reviews. So we created this, kind of morphed into this new business for online review management. So we look at how you are appearing online through your Google and Yelp reviews, things like that. And we've worked with a system that can filter those reviews. So we coach our clients how to get feedback and if it's a positive feedback, positive review, then their clients can push it out to the Google page and things like that. So it's a way for us to park the negative that comes through so that our client can reach out to their client and figure out what the problem was and solve it. So that's kind of the meat and potatoes of what we do.
So what I understand from what you're doing when it comes to this is you're trying to help your clients before something gets posted on Google or before something gets posted on Yelp that might be negative, to help them filter that out and to address the issue beforehand. So that hopefully they can better serve their clients and then turn that possible negative into a positive.
Exactly. And, everybody, it doesn't matter what business you are, everybody gets a bad review. That's just life, So what we do with the initial step with our clients, we coach them how to approach the patient, the client, the customer to get the feedback initially. And if it's a thumbs up, then they're immediately directed out to the Google page to leave the review. If it's a thumbs down, that person is given the opportunity to state their case, vent, whatever you want to call it, and our client is immediately notified that something is not quite right. They have a negative review, and they need to reach out to this person and correct it. One of the first things we mention to our clients is it's very important to get this information, especially, say, for an example, a chiropractor. He may not realize the girl sitting at the front desk greeting the patients as they come in is not exactly the nicest person in the world. So, he may need to make a little change up there, and he doesn't realize it unless he gets that feedback. So it's just a way to improve your business and make you more successful.
It's so funny that you bring that up as an example because I had dinner with friends last weekend. And she had been to the doctor's office. She had cataract surgery. And she said, her doctor was great. She had a wonderful experience with him. But she said the office help was terrible. She said, she felt like they didn't acknowledge her. They kept her waiting. They didn't answer questions. And she told a friend of hers, and her friend said, did you tell the doctor? And so she did. She wrote I don't know if it was an email or a letter, and told the doctor, and the doctor was just devastated. He's like, he didn't have any clue that his patients were seeing the help in his office that way. So, it wasn't something that happened online. So I want to get clear, what you're helping with your clients is when, let's say, a patient comes out of the office, right then and there, they're being asked to do something online, or are they being asked through a survey form or something they write out?
Right online, because we all know, and everybody on here knows, I'm sure, our attention spans are very short right now. So
I gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
See you later.
Squirrel. So what we do, squirrel, right? Anybody with kids or anything. So we have an iPad or a tablet or things like that the staff will have, and they'll just hand that over. We coach them, the right way to approach, the right questions to ask, so that it doesn't seem like you're stalking or, anything like that. And it only takes 30 seconds, out of their day to ask someone to do this. So we create a URL that's right there, a page for them to go right there and leave either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If it's a thumbs up, it immediately takes them to their Google page or their Yelp page or wherever we're directing them at that time. So that way they can do it and walk out the door and they're done. If they're not happy and they leave a thumbs down, they're given the opportunity to vent right there. And statistics show that about 95% of the people, if they're given the chance to vent, they feel like they've been heard. They're not going to drive home and get onto Google and leave you a review.
Something negative.
Yeah, they've said their piece. They're good to go.
So when they're venting, are they venting there on the iPad, or are they actually looking up at the person at the reception desk and saying, here's what's wrong?
That's what we can coach them on, either whether they have the communication or if they just want to type it in. A lot of people just want to type it in real quick because they're like, I just want to get out of here. It wasn't a good experience. I want to leave. So they'll type it in real quick and they'll go. Now, another thing that we do coach our clients on is what we call the real reviews. The good reviews are fantastic and those are wonderful, and you definitely want to get those out there. But if all I'm seeing is sunshine and roses, I'm wondering if those reviews are fake. So the real reviews are, and we'll use the chiropractor again. They went in and they had their session with the chiropractor. It was fantastic, but they had to wait 20 minutes before they saw him. That's a real review. We want them to be honest and say, it was a great adjustment. Oh my gosh, my back feels so fantastic. Only bad thing, I had to wait 20 minutes. That's not a bad review. That's a real review. So, and we coach our clients on the difference in that. One thing that I do want to toss out there, because we keep, we're talking about the online reviews and things like that. There's a company called Bright Local that has been doing statistics and surveys and things like that on online reviews for the past 5 years. And they post this every year. So they just recently posted their survey for 2015. And 92% of consumers look at online reviews before making a decision to go to a business or a doctor or a restaurant. They're looking at those reviews. Now,
so they're looking. Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, I wouldn't think to look for a review of a doctor or a chiropractor. I would think more of a restaurant or a hotel. So can you expand? More and more people are doing that, you're saying?
More and more people are doing that because more and more people are walking around with this and with this. So they're on the go and they're looking for things. So they are going online and they're looking up doctors. Again, warm referrals are fantastic. Aunt Martha tells you to go see Dr. Smith. That's great. But more savvy consumers, computers. I've been holding up computers all day. More savvy consumers are going online and looking for reviews. And they're taking those reviews to heart. If you have less than 4 stars, they move on. I mean, the survey that came out is pretty extensive and it's pretty wild. to see the numbers and how much they've grown.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But going back to that 92% of consumers that look at online reviews for local businesses,
Mm-hmm.
only 10% of those people will actually leave a review. So that's where it falls short. And that's where we come in, is we coach our clients on how to get those reviews.
That's beautiful, because I last week, actually, my guest was Felicia Slattery, who's a speaking coach, but we were talking a lot about testimonials and getting testimonials, which are feedback from your clients, and sharing that with your people. So this is, very similar in that you want to get good feedback. It's great when someone says you did a great job,
right?
But you really want more. You want something that says, hey, I didn't have to wait. When I got to the office, they took me in right away. I got service with a smile. They took care of my children. Well, those kinds of things get into more detail. So do you find that people are taking the time to write something more extensive, or are they just saying, this was great, or I had a good time, or, I got great service, and then they go on their merry way?
Right. I think it's across the, I'm sorry, I just saw what Melody posted, that attention span shorter than a goldfish. That's awesome. It's true. And same thing goes with leaving reviews. It depends on the person, the type of day they're having, things like that. It's pretty interesting. We'll go back to the chiropractor or a dentist or someone like that. If it's a regular client that comes in, and it's the hygienist, for example, sees that person on a regular basis, they get a feel for that personality, and they know, this person's going to leave us a good review, and they're going to tell a great story type thing. And a lot of times with your staff, if you're dealing one-on-one with customers, they can learn to read a customer pretty well. They may not realize it, but they can. And I think that it kind of flows back and forth with what type of review that person's going to leave. It's going to be a good one, but the length and the time they're going to take kind of depends on the day they're having. Yeah. So, and again, it all comes down to how you approach them. So
we have a question here from Valerie, which is, have you ever run into working with businesses that are truly horrible and deserve the bad reviews? And do you see any of them changing their tune or staying stuck in their own old ways?
That is an excellent question from another one of my social sisters. Actually we have. And the thing is that before we even do that initial interview or consult, we do extensive research on the company before we talk to them. And if they have got horrible reviews and they're just not looking good online, then we'll talk to them and get a feel. But we have turned clients away because I'm not a reputation manager. I'm not going to do PR for them. I'm not going to do anything. It's their business. They need to be doing the right things, servicing their customers, clients, and patients in the right way. It's kind of a personal choice for me. If I see that this company is just not up and up or a little black hat, I walk away.
Better safe than sorry. Well, exactly. Let's, ask about that because, and I think Melody had a question that ties into this. She said, if a bad review slips through, how do you coach clients to handle it? So if you are, let's say I'm the business and I go and I see there's a bad review on Google, how do you coach me or a client to say, okay, it's already up there, it's out there. How do you handle it?
Well, first we look at the actual bad review. We read that, and then we talk to our client and say, okay, tell us what happened. What exactly happened? And then we coach them. If we're going to have them respond, we coach them on the proper wording and tone to respond with. Sometimes it's not worth a response, and we'll make that decision with the client. Once it goes through, it is out there. There's a way to bury it with more reviews coming in, but a lot of times it may not be a valid review, and that's where we go back in and we look at it and we kind of research it. I actually had a client in Arizona who owned a spa, and her ex-boyfriend's daughter was upset about the breakup and wrote a very horrible, nasty review. Well, I went in and did some research, and she did it on Yelp, and she was not an active Yelper. And she didn't have an active account, a legitimate account. And so I pulled all that information together, and I actually spent 2 days on the phone with Yelp and got that review removed.
So you actually could call them and ask?
Yes, I actually, through doing this, I have contacts at Google and at Yelp that I can reach out to, and work, with them to either, there's kind of a way to kind of, put a little quotation mark around it. Yeah, this isn't necessarily a good review, or we can just have it. And yes, Melody, it's revenge reviews. They are a real thing. We will go through, because with the system we have, we can monitor all of those reviews coming through, and we can look, make sure that they're good.
Well, that brings me to a similar question, when Melody mentions revenge reviews. And, that sometimes is, when somebody, well, I guess you wouldn't call them a customer, let's say somebody comes into you, doesn't get what they want, or, what comes to mind is a car dealership. And the person leaves, and didn't get the car that they wanted. And then they have second thoughts, and they come back and the car is gone. And then they get mad, and they go, hey, this dealership was, didn't treat me right. They sold the car before I got it. Google has, I don't know about Yelp, but Google has certain criteria, don't they, for what people should or shouldn't do in the way of a review?
They do. There are certain steps that you follow. I mean, the thing with Google is they are constantly changing their algorithms, just like Facebook does. And so that's where we come in, where we go through and review those. When we sign a client up, we don't just sign them up and take their money and put them in our system and say, hey, see ya. We, for the first part of getting them on board and everything, we are meeting with them once a week, phone calls once a week for 6 to 8 weeks to get them set up, to coach them on how to handle these things. We start looking at reviews. We have them start getting reviews right away. And then we, Google does have the attention span of goldfish. It's amazing the things that they try on a daily basis. And some people start to panic. There was something that actually came out that they were going to start changing the way they did reviews for local businesses. And a few people reached out to us and they're like, oh my gosh, what are you guys going to do? And I go, this is going to last about 48 hours and then they're going to move on. It's just something that they do. And there's ways to work through it. As I tell my clients, everything online is fluid. It changes constantly. That's why people hire me. That's why they hire, some of my social sisters for their social media campaigns and things like that, because that's what we do. We keep up with those changes, and we're there to coach you through the process. Again, those bad reviews are going to happen. How we handle them, how we filter them, it's a team effort, because we want our clients to be successful. And, we look at the big picture and we go through and create the consistency for them. And it's something that I love to do, because I really want my clients to be as successful as possible.
So when you talk about reputation management, when I hear that phrase, one of the first things that comes to mind has to do with publicity. And, you see something bad happens, and all of a sudden in the press, a good publicist will help manage their client's reputation.
Right.
Do you consider that something different than what you're doing? Because online reviews are quite different than, being in the mainstream media of print or TV or radio, those kinds of things.
Right. Well, I mean, for, press release, I always bring up the example of the BP oil spill. That was a huge disaster, and BP was hated globally. So they had to hire a crack team of publicists, press releases, things like that, to get back in good. And they actually handled it really well. I thought, they forked over the cash, and they made quite a bit of charitable contributions. I mean, not everybody's perfect, and it was still quite the mess, but, we're looking at clients that, as Valerie brought up before, I'm not going to bring on a client that just has a bad reputation online and is constantly getting bad reviews. Now, the caveat to that is sometimes because of their location or there's certain things that can be changed within the business itself, there is hope, and we can see that. We, again, do extensive research and quite a bit of interviewing with that client before we actually sign them on. I know my husband, Brett, had a dentist who, I mean, they just had terrible reviews, but the more he started looking at it, the reviews were off slightly. I don't think that they were, I think it was just that the area that he was in and things like that. So we went in and helped them change the way they presented themselves and how the office staff worked with the public, the patients that were coming in. And within 6 months, we were able to change all of that around and really start getting them some good reviews. So, you know, again, you kind of have to look at the big picture on certain things.
Well, here's something that Carly just mentioned in the comments. You know, she said she saw a thread about a woman who was treated poorly at a body shop. And so she went somewhere else. And then online, I guess she was praising the other service, and there were a lot of comments, both pro and con. And then the companies joined in the thread of the conversation. And I've experienced this actually in a discussion group on LinkedIn, where all of a sudden what happens is two people in particular start battling it out. And so do you see that happen when it comes to reviews, or what Carly's referring to, you know, where now there's a conversation going back and forth and back and forth?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry, I cut you off there. I've actually seen it on Facebook, and I haven't actually seen the client themselves get, or the business themselves get involved in it. But I've seen people go back and forth in certain groups. And that's the funny thing, Facebook groups. I belong to several neighborhood groups up here in Bailey, Conifer, and Evergreen area. And it's hilarious. Somebody will say, hey, well, does somebody know a good plumber? And, you know, different names get thrown out there. And then all of a sudden with those different names, then there's comments saying, oh, I wouldn't use him, he's too expensive. Oh, I wouldn't use her, you know, she has no idea what she's doing, type thing. And that's where the personal opinion comes in, you know, and they think that they weren't treated correctly. Or however that happens. Unfortunately, with the way online reviews and internet and things like that are, some of those are going to slip through the cracks. I mean, that's just a fact of life. We obviously don't want Big Brother monitoring absolutely everything that we put online, but and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know, there's been places that I've seen that haven't had the best reviews. It was a restaurant actually, and we went in and tried it, and we absolutely loved the food. Loved it. So again, it's, you know, it's personal opinion. It's certain things that come through, and it's you kind of have to look at the big picture. And I think that a lot of people who are looking at online reviews are really pretty savvy and can kind of read through some of the stuff and realize that it's personal opinion and still want to see that doctor or go to that restaurant or, you know, things like that.
Well, but, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'm done.
I was going to say, well, you bring up an interesting point because, you know, when I speak, one of the things I talk about a lot, and I'm sure you've heard of it, is the KLT factor, the know, like, and trust. And that's really important. And when I give an example of developing that, it's kind of actually like you and I meeting. You didn't know me. You ordered my book. Then we became friends on Facebook. We got to like each other. Then we got to meet each other, and you develop that know, like, and trust. Right. One of the things that I talk about that you've mentioned, which sounds like it's shifting, is, you know, if my dentist were to retire, let's say, and I need a new dentist, I don't think, and I don't have my phone in front of me, but I don't think I'd get on my phone and say to Siri, who's a good dentist? Right. I would first go to you or a family member or a colleague and say, who do you use as a dentist? Right. Just like that person posted, who's a good plumber? So do you find that there's a shift in that people are going online first to find somebody? I think that it does start with the warm referral at first. And again, I think that's amazing. Those warm referrals are fantastic, and that's been around for years. I highly recommend my dentist. My family and I have been going to the same dentist for years up here. And I'll tell anybody who listens, you know, he's fantastic. His staff is great.
I love going to this guy, and I literally hate going to the dentist, but I love him, and I'm gonna tell everybody that'll listen how fantastic he is. But and then everybody, sometimes the next question is, oh, well, do they have a website? Or, oh, okay, well, I'll look them up on Google and see where they are. Not everybody does that, but we are starting to get more and more into that next step process of going to Google. It's how it is. People want to know, well, first off, they may just be looking them up under Google to see where they're located, what their address is. And when they do that, then those reviews start showing. It shows the doctor's website. It shows if it's a good Google search, and he's showing up really well on Google, it's going to show his website. It's going to show his Google page. It's going to show the reviews he has. And it's also going to show him, if he's high enough on the list, it's going to show the little map of where he is, all this and that. Well, that's huge as well. I mean, even if they're just looking you up to see where you are, if they see those 4 and 5 star reviews, they're like, oh, well, wait a minute. See, everybody else likes him too,
Well, that's a good point. I mean, when I bring that up, I think mostly of things like dentists and doctors and service-based in terms of chiropractor, things like that. I really personally prefer to have a friend say, I've gone to this person and I really like them. When I think of online reviews, I might think of reviews of products or hotels like we were talking about earlier, or restaurants. So if that's shifting, that's an interesting concept to me, because I don't know that going online and finding a dentist on Google would be my cup of tea. But all the things that you just mentioned, have a lot of value to go, oh, well, there's a lot of people that are saying this person's good.
Right.
Then I might go, let's see if anyone I know uses that doctor or uses that dentist.
Well, and we've had several orthodontists that my husband's been consulting with, and they said they've had the best summer so far, and they're actually just doing a little survey themselves with new starts of parents that are bringing their kids in for braces and things like that. How did you hear about us? And they're like, oh, well, we saw you on Google. We found you on the internet. Yeah. So, I mean, it is changing. And funny, that statistic, the 92% of local consumers, that was for 2015. Last year, it was 88%. So in 2014, so it is going up and up and up. I mean, my kids are they're 15 and 17, and they're probably at the tail end of that age range of still looking things up on their laptop. Anybody younger than that is looking on their iPad or their smartphone. Yeah. I mean, honest to God, my husband he uses his smartphone for absolutely everything. And it's crazy. I mean, I use it to talk on the phone, Right. And then I've got my iPad and I've got my laptop. But, there's a lot of people are very mobile now. They travel a lot. They keep these smaller, things handy to look things up. And it's just getting ahead of the game, basically.
Yeah. It's the new generation.
Yes.
Unlike me, who feels I'm getting a little bit, I just got my smartphone last year, or actually this year. So, my friends say, came into the 21st century. If anyone wants to jump on board, I am opening up a seat. So feel free to join us if you have a question or a comment regarding reputation management or online reviews. I don't think about it that much for my own business. I don't know that anybody would be out there writing a Google review for a speaker, but it sounds like that's growing. And I know, at some point, some people look at cloud scores or at social selling index, I think is what LinkedIn has. Yeah. So you never know where people are going. We've got Melody who's going to jump on board here. Yay! Hey there, girlfriend.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Speaker just went down when hold on, I got to turn this up. Okay, now I can hear.
Oh, okay.
Way too much bright light. Look at that. Ta-da!
You are looking pretty bright. But you are bright.
Big smile. Big smile.
Well, I was just going to say, as I adjust my little camera here, that you have to ask. I mean, you have to ask. You have to ask for, especially if somebody has said they received good service, or they liked what you presented, or whatever the capacity, whatever it is, whatever capacity they're asking it, and you have to ask people to actually take that extra step to post a good review online. And actually, just ever since I've met Michelle and I'm paying much more attention to what she's saying, I think, well, that's true. I don't even go online and leave reviews when I get good service, and why don't I? Why don't I do that? Yeah. So I have vowed to do that more often, and it's all Michelle's fault. I'm blaming her.
Right. Well, you know, I have a colleague who says, you know, if you don't ASK, you don't GET.
There you go.
So, you know, and we do it, you know, we do it, for example, on LinkedIn. I've done it, ask for recommendations. You know, since my book came out, I've asked people to go and do reviews. Yes. And it's interesting, Michelle, because since you talked about, you know, being in a chiropractor's office, I was at my periodontist last week. You know, and the last time I went, I didn't like the hygienist they gave me. The woman I've been going to for years is no longer there. And I went up to them afterwards and I said, you know, next time, can you give me somebody else? I really didn't like her. Right. So I could see the benefit in right then and there, turning over the iPad and saying, hey, would you just take a second before you go to do this? That's a great idea.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, and honestly, a lot of places, especially restaurants, they're actually really jumping on the bandwagon and trying to think of different creative ways to get reviews. And I am going to get the name wrong here. Punch Social. Is that the name of the restaurant down in Denver? It's on Broadway or Lincoln or something. I think it's Punch Social. We've been in there a few times. If anyone's been there, please correct me.
Not sure. I can't remember that. It seems familiar.
I don't know it.
Well, it's got like some bowling lanes in there. It's got pool tables. It's very fun. It's up until I think 8 o'clock. Anybody can be there that's under 21, and then after that, it's like an adult playground. You know, there's just all kinds of fun stuff to do.
Sounds like we should go.
I know. We should totally have a party there sometime.
Totally.
How you pay is they bring you something like an iPad mini, and you pay and you go through and do this stuff, and they're actually asking you to leave a review or your comments right then and there. And that, I mean, it's brilliant because you're paying, you know, so you've already got this thing in hand. So whoever their marketing person is, because I think they're independent, I don't think they're a chain, is brilliant. Because that is something you definitely want. You want that. And another place, actually, when we were in New Orleans, when we were there for my friend's birthday, all the restaurants we went to, we checked in on Yelp. Because I have a Yelp account. I'm using that all the time. We actually checked in on Yelp, and there was one restaurant that they highly encouraged us to do that. They had little things posted in the restaurant. So, yeah, I mean, it's out there, and it's growing, and it's how you approach it and how you use it, you know, to your benefit, to help your business get better.
Well, we have someone else who wants to jump on board. Let's see. It's taking a second. Sometimes it takes a bit to cycle through and buffer. Here she comes.
Oh, hi.
Hi there. Hi. Let me get my headphones on.
So far, you're so good. We're not getting any reverb. Just a reminder to everybody. Everybody, don't forget to tell a little bird.
I am doing that.
Little bird again. I'm telling little bird again.
Hi. This is KK Harris show.
Yeah. I do a show on Friday nights generally.
Oh, nice.
I do something completely different than I think a lot of people are doing. But I'm not here to plug that. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Did you have a question?
Well, I just subscribed to you so I can follow you going forward.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, good idea.
Definitely watch that. Watch the, and let's all do that. Let me do that. Hold on.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, when you see the name, I don't know where to point anymore, but
it's
for
up
example,
top.
If you see KK Harris show, it shows her Twitter handle, and if there's a little white box with the person and a plus sign, that means you're not following her on Twitter. If you click on that, you will then be following that person on Twitter. If the little box already has a color in it, it means you're following that person on Twitter. So if you want to follow myself or Michelle or Melody or KK and you see the little white box, just click on that and you'll be following them on Twitter.
Nice. So, you're awesome, Deborah. Thank you for that.
Sure.
I just jumped in because, I'm out here in London. I live in London, the UK.
Oh my gosh.
And
well, thanks for joining us.
I'm American living in London.
Wow.
I'm an American living in London for 20 years now. I'm from LA originally, but right now it's 7 in the evening. It's and beautiful. It's a bit cold too.
Yeah.
But I like the conversation because I did an entrepreneur program for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And even the person doing the program, and there was usually about 500-600 people in there, on the break, he would say, look, I need you to go to my Facebook page. I need you to like, I need you to share. I need to tell whoever's coming on my page what you got from what you're, where you're at right now. So it's like
Right.
you be there for the weekend and everything.
Uh-huh.
And another thing, he was going ahead and he was teaching people, like you said, I know dentists, lawyers, and it is
Mm-hmm.
so much about the review right now.
Right. It is. It is.
And it's true. It's kind of like you said, Michelle, your husband uses his phone for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like boom, 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 boom. And
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it makes everything easy. It's just, I want to see if the dentist is good. I want to see if, my career I used to be a professional singer.
Uh-huh.
I do it for the love, but I do speaking. I do a show and all of that stuff. But it's funny because I have people just saying, okay, so how do I look you up? And it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Corinne Kendra, I'm at a day job today and somebody's like, oh, you used to sing. How do I look you up? I'm like, they want to look. Can I go
Right.
somewhere now?
Mm-hmm.
We're all not 25. I'll put it that way.
What?
And I'm happy about that. I use my bioidentical hormone replacement for my progesterone. Thank you very much. I'm all about keeping it real. But what I am also about is jumping in on this bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping in. I call it part 2. I call being in my 40s now. And my daughter, she's 11 and a half. She's at boarding school, which is a thing, people do. And she's blessed her. She got scholarships and all that stuff. So, but as a single person, her dad, my ex-husband, is very active. So it's a very good grounded family unit. Mm-hmm. But I also know I needed, if I was going to do a part 2 of my life, I had to have my daughter so I could still feel like an awesome mom.
Right.
Have her in a place where she could be awesome. And then when we have our time together, just be awesome together. Uh-huh. But all of that to say and share is that we are in such a time where we've got to embrace this. Mm-hmm. We've got to become like the kids. I tell myself, you're doing round 2, KK. You're doing round 2, girl. You got to pretend like you're a youngster. You got to just, I'm being really serious. Pretend like you're a youngster and embrace this stuff, because if we don't, they say we're living longer. They say we're going to be still working, 70s, 80s. So, and my family lives to be 101, 102.
Oh my God.
I got aunts that did 105. I got 3 or 4 aunts. All siblings did about, I think the maxed out at about 105.
Wow.
So, and I very much take look at,
you
like the Harris
planning.
family. What'd you say?
You better do some planning.
This is what I'm saying. So it's for me, it's round 2. And girls, I'm hustling hard, learning as much as I can from the likes of Grant Cardone TV. They've actually invited me to come on Elena Cardone's show soon.
Really?
So,
really? Yeah, I follow Grant Cardone. I follow him because a very dear friend of mine, Danielle Delgado, worships the ground he walks on. And he's done some coaching sessions for her. And he's actually going to be here in Denver next month at a summit. Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can go. I hope so. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to work it out.
I hope so, Michelle.
Yeah.
I got on Grant Cardone TV tonight. This early evening my time, and I was able to just share a bit with him and kind of plug that I'll be on your wife's program soon. I did that.
That's awesome.
But it is about that. It is about you're managing your online reputation.
Yeah.
I've had to delete some things. I've had to delete some things that pertain to the entertainment business, certain things that you just it doesn't match the brand now.
Right. Well, and that's something I tell people, and I do want to throw this out here. I tell people, Google yourself on a regular basis. Google yourself and Google your business, and don't stop at page 3 or page 5. Keep going back to page 10 at least, because you'd be amazed at what's out there. You would be absolutely amazed, and you need to be aware.
I know what I did, so I wouldn't be too amazed.
You can also set up
dancing on tables.
Yeah, exactly. She had a good time. It was fun.
I had a good time.
And setting up Google Alerts is another thing that I do recommend as well. But
okay, and what's that about?
Well, you go in and you set up a Google Alert. So anytime anyone's, anything happens or is posted about you or with your name, you get an alert immediately. Mm-hmm. So, that
and
way.
You can program it for not just your name. You can program it for other things. So you can tell it to, send you something about singers in London, and anytime something is mentioned, it will alert you to that. So
it's cool. It's a great way to keep up. But it does.
And how about
going back to how you mentioned having to keep up with things and moving with things? I have to toss this out there. My dad is 81 years old, and he Googles things. He Googles businesses. He Googles all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Same.
He was doing that, kind of off and on before. And now that, I started this business, now he really gets online and looks things up. So, which I love. He doesn't have a smartphone, but he does get up and look on his computer. So,
that's wonderful. Yeah.
Michelle,
my dad just turned 85 yesterday.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Yeah. He was 20 years older than my mom.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
85. My grandmother's 96. Thought I'd throw it in there. Got some longevity. Got some planning.
My grandparents are gone.
You got some planning. I love it.
40 years of planning.
And Carly says her mom at 88 has a tablet, and she's helping her with her mom.
Nice.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Yes.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
And then it was pertaining to the Google alert. Now, so I performed under Karim Kendra. Some of my comedy stuff, Karim Harris, and then KK Harris. And do I have to have different accounts for that? Because I have, you know what I mean?
No, you should be able to go in. You can go in and set it up and just put in keywords that will alert you. So you can go in and include all of that. So,
so I have several alerts. I get several Google alerts for various things, and it's all under one account. So,
yes. Okay. Oh, yeah.
So, I want to give someone else the opportunity to jump on in case anybody else has a question. So,
I'm going to go.
Okay. I'm following.
I'm following.
Thanks, KK.
I love it. And I'm going to look at your name so I can see what you guys are all about, but I'm going to keep watching.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Bye. Bye.
Michelle, something triggered this question. If a person or a brand is rebranding, is there, how would that affect reputation management and different, how would that affect what you do? Or would it affect? Because, you're trying, because I'm going to do some rebranding for myself. That's why I'm asking. I need to rebrand a few things, and I don't really know how to handle your end, like the review end of things, or if it matters, or do I just say used to be this AKA?
Well, it depends on how extensive the rebranding is. That's an excellent question, by the way. If you're going as small as just changing your address, and remember I mentioned this when we were at the panel last week or week before, with my Google page, and Lisa Haas is just rolling over somewhere with the Google page. With my Google page, since I changed my address, Google looks at I'm starting from scratch. So I have to get a new verification, and now my page necessarily isn't showing up as much until I type that verification in so that they can say that I'm a legitimate business. Now, if you're going through the process of rebranding, there are certain workarounds that we can do with that, and you and I can chat.
I could grab you later. I'm probably not the only one that does a little rebrand. It's like it's time.
Right.
So,
and you know what? I'm doing the same thing. I'm launching a brand new website in January 2016. We're keeping the same name, but we're changing our logo and we're changing a lot of our branding and things like that. So I'm going to be going through that. And actually, you know what? You just gave me a great idea for a Blab show that I can actually talk to people about that. So
let me take note.
Yeah, and I'll have you guys as guests. You guys will be my first.
Have me in. I'd like to. I'd really like to know that. And boot me off, you guys, so you can get more people in. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Bye,
Thanks
Melody.
for stopping by.
See you later.
Okay.
Google page, not a Google Plus page. Rick Wolf is asking. So are you talking about a Google
no,
page?
it's actually a Google Plus page. Thank you, Rick. I need to clarify that. It is a Google Plus page. If you have a Gmail account, you automatically have a Google Plus profile, and which is just like Facebook. You have your regular Facebook profile, and then you create your business page off of that. Same thing with Google Plus. You have your Google Plus page as your profile, and then you can create business pages off of that. And that's what we've done. So, and that's what we coach our clients to do. There's all kinds of talk on how important that is and that Google Plus isn't that important. Well, it is, because people, that's where they leave the reviews, is on your Google Plus page. So, so it is nice to have one. We do recommend that our clients post on them. You can put videos. You automatically have a YouTube account if you have a Gmail.
Yeah.
You know, we coach our clients on how to build on all of that to use that to their advantage. So.
Well, one thing came up about that as you were talking about that. You know, I have a Google Plus page, but I don't have a business page on Google Plus, and I've never really felt the need for it.
Well, so, if you market yourself under your name, Deborah, so actually just keeping your Google Plus page makes sense. Oh, you can just do that, you know, because you aren't, you're your own business, your own entity, so to speak. So you are marketing you. So yeah, just having your Google profile, you can go in there and post things and do things. Your reviews may not show up as much, but you're getting reviews on Amazon and LinkedIn and places like that. But you know, just type in your name on Google and see what comes up. And, you know, you can always make the decision from there on whether or not you want to go forward and create an actual business page for your marketing empire. So,
well, Rick Wolf is also saying he wonders if he's ever been reviewed. So is that something that he would find if he just searched himself?
You could search yourself and see if you've been reviewed, or Rick, if you have a Gmail, your little profile up in the corner there, you can click the drop down box and it'll give you the page, and you can go to your Google Plus page and see if anyone's actually left you a review. Because if it's something that's not verified by Google, for example, a business, the personal pages, they handle differently than they do the business pages. The business pages, and this is so crazy with the online world we live in, and I'm here to tell you, it drives me nuts. With Google, you actually have to have a physical address somewhere. So I was just using Bailey, and we weren't showing up as much. So this way I was able to tell my clients, yes, you actually have to use, even if it's a PO box, you have to have a physical address somewhere. What I did was I opened up, with the UPS store up here in Conifer, give them a little plug. I purchased a box, a mailbox there, but it says I have a suite. It says suite 111. So I actually have a physical street address, and that's what I changed. So now I'm waiting for Google to go through and verify all of that. It's a never-ending game. Is
that something that you have to ask Google to do? For example, on Facebook, you know, you can get your profile or your page verified. Do you have to ask Google to verify you?
Google has to verify you. So I'm waiting for that nifty little postcard, because you used to be able to get a phone call and they would give you the code. They don't do that anymore. Or if they do, they do it very sporadically. And so I didn't get that when I went through. So now I'm waiting for that nifty little postcard with my verification code to go in and type it in.
I mean, I think it's been so long since I got that I totally forgot about it.
Well, and the personal, like I said, personal profile is totally different than the business. Once you have that business page, it has to be verified in. Now, your personal profile, you can post things on, and people can like you and follow you, but it's almost just like a behind the scenes Facebook page, basically. So if you really want to get some traction out of it, you need to actually create a business page so people can start leaving reviews on it.
Okay.
And I'm happy to discuss that over a glass of wine, Deborah, at some time. It's fun.
Well, I'll always go for that. Glass of wine is always good. We have a question from Mike Baltus. Mike says, what is the best page analytics tool that you like to use, or a couple of suggested tools that can take that data information and turn it into more profits for the end user?
Well, you know, honestly, with what we do, it's kind of not something that you can analyze statistically on a normal basis. I tie everything in through Google. So I do the Google Analytics through my client's website and through their Google Plus page. And we keep track of that as well. And then I also coach them. For example, when you go into a dentist's office or a chiropractor's office and you fill out the little paperwork initially, if that's your first time in, one of the things that we recommend that they have is, how did you hear about us? And we, on any email newsletters that they send out, there's different systems that they already have set in place. We'll just add that analytic tool onto the end on how, people are responding, if they heard about them through the email newsletter, if they heard about them through Google Plus, through Facebook, whatever. It's a lot of different things that we tie in together. We haven't found one set tool that can across the board help us with what we do, unfortunately, because again, it's so fluid and it changes so much that it's more hands-on for us. And it's something that, when you're trying to run your business, you don't need to be sitting over here all night running through all these analytics and all through the systems to see where these reviews are coming from. That's what our system does. We can kind of pinpoint those things, and then we work with our client and we get them to ask the correct questions from their web developer or anything like that on how all of this stuff comes through. So it's not one set system, unfortunately, that we use, but we do have a kind of a checklist that we go through for that. I mean, if someone would develop that, I would invest in it immediately. I mean, if someone could come up with that for me, that would be great.
Well, here's something that came to mind when talking about that. Let's say somebody does write this beautiful review for you on Google or on Yelp. Mm-hmm. Can you take that and, let's say, put it on your website, on your testimonials page? Or should you really contact that person first and say, man, I mean, it's already out there. So I'm assuming
it's already out there. So it is, I mean, it is public domain. We actually, as part of our process, which we love to brag about our clients and things like that, we create a landing page URL for them to attach to their website. So, and it's just a little review thing that potential clients can click on, and it's live. So if you're looking at it and somebody leaves a review right now, you're going to see it pop up and you're going to see where it came from. Yeah. Facebook, Yelp, TripAdvisor, there's just so many different places that people can leave reviews. So yeah, we set that up for our clients because we want them to have, it's like a bragging page, so that people can see where these reviews are coming from. So yeah, it's all about, putting your business in the best light possible, showing people your product or your service, and, telling them, hey, you need to come see us. And going back to the know, like, and trust thing, we take it one step further, is that I work with them directly on a monthly basis on planning out their strategy on social media. So, we've got the reviews coming in, they're doing great. We go through and clean up their business listings. That's a whole nother show. Clean all of that up. And then I coach them on their social media because I want to know what sort of personality they're trying to get out to the public that they want to see. We had an orthodontist that, I mean, her office rocked, and I'm trying to think what state they were in. I can't remember off the top of my head, but her staff, I don't know if there was something in the Kool-Aid or what, but they just absolutely, everybody loved being there every day. And they really promoted that. They had, office parties. They had staff employee of the month. She would take them out to baseball games or something like that, and they had pictures. Well, a mom looking that up, that her kid has to go in and get braces, I want to go to that office because they're having fun, So we tie all of that into the reviews as well.
Well, that's, I have a client who, they have a pediatric practice. One of them is an orthodontist and one of them is a pediatric dentist. And they use a whole superhero concept, and you go to their office and there's all kinds of play areas and they make it really fun. I love it. And that's their whole brand really is around that superhero. She's a tooth fairy because her name is Carrie, so it's the tooth Carrie instead of fairy. And he's what is he, Dr. Super Smile or something, because he's the orthodontist. And they do, as an orthodontist in particular, he deals with adults and other people, but they really focus on the children and setting up that image. So that's really important to making sure that you follow that throughout your whole strategy, not just your social media strategy, but everything that you do.
Exactly. I mean, we tell our clients that it needs to be how we present them, how we work with them as a team to present them online. It needs to be consistent across the board, from their online reviews to the business listings. We also work with them, SEO is a word that's tossed out there a lot. We also work with them to make sure that their SEO is falling in line with those online reviews and their website, and then taking that one step further and doing the social media. It's just, it's a whole package that we offer, or we can break it up into individual things. But it's pretty. I mean, I love what I do. It's sometimes you just want to pull your hair out with the changes that Google and Facebook make, but it keeps me on my toes. And I will be completely honest, I am learning something new absolutely every day, all the time.
Well, you just brought something up. Is SEO affected, or do your reviews on Google or Yelp affect your SEO? I guess that's the question. So the more reviews you get, does that help you with your SEO?
Yes, it does. Google kind of has a benchmark of you have to have at least 5 reviews to start really having those reviews show up when people look you up. So, so that's our benchmark. It's kind of low. We actually, tell our clients 5, seriously, we need to have more, but that's the benchmark to get that going. And then, from there, the consistency is getting those reviews, to continue getting those reviews. Because if you have reviews, that survey proved to us, if you have reviews that are older than 3 to 5 months, people move on. They're, again, attention span. So
you've got to keep it fresh.
You've got to keep it fresh. And again, that works with your SEO as far as how you come up in the Google search. Now, we can't guarantee that you're always going to be number 1 in the Google search, but we can make sure that you're in the top 5, at least, if not top 3, because it moves. Again, with the algorithms, it does move.
Right.
But the thing that helps you is it might just be a quirk that somebody is above you, but they don't have any reviews. That person's going to go down. They're going to go down to the next one. They're going to go down to where they see those reviews. Because I'll be the first one to admit, even before I started doing this, if I didn't see reviews on something, I didn't know if that business was still, I didn't know if they were still in business or if they actually were selling anything or anything like that. Reviews are huge to me because I want to know what other people think. And, number 1 for me is buying online. A lot of people, it's restaurants or hotels. It's interesting, the top 5, it's restaurants, hotels, doctors' offices, mechanics, and lawyers, and things like that. It's interesting the different groups that are in the top 5 to top 10 in this survey of what people look for the reviews.
Is that in the Bright Local that you're talking about?
Bright Local, yeah. Awesome. It's a great company. They spend quite a bit of money doing this survey every year. And it's pretty extensive, and it's right on the money. I mean, it's following the trends and the other statistics that are coming out.
Awesome. Well, my goal when I do my Blab is to try to keep everything to an hour, and we're coming up on the hour. So does anyone else have questions? If you want to jump on real quick, but before that, I want to make sure, Michelle, that you tell people, how can they find you? If they want to reach out to you, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, Twitter is good. I've noticed that even though it has my old Twitter handle, it is redirecting to my new one. My new one just went out of my head, so I'm going to look that up real quick. But you can find me on Facebook under Michelle Hoglan, Michelle Grant Hoglan. And then my business is Top Hat Creative Marketing. We also have a Facebook page. And, I love to hear from people, and I'm willing, I do a free 30-minute audit of your online presence. So if you reach out to me, I am more than happy to schedule some time on the phone to chat and go over and just give you some free advice on how you can improve your online presence. I live for helping people out. I think it's awesome. I want everybody to be successful. I'm just kind of, weird that way. But you can also email me. It's Michelle at tophatcreativemarketing.com, and we can schedule some time. And okay, so you found me on Facebook, Mom's Guide. Definitely follow me. I love to interact on Facebook. I have quite a few followers. It's hilarious, Deborah. I don't know if you found this. People find me first under my name, and then I kind of have to redirect them to my business page. More often than not, people just follow me because, you know, on my personal page. It's pretty hilarious.
Well, you know, if you talk about things like Facebook, I get a lot more interaction on my Facebook personal profile than I do on my fan page. So, you know, that's where all the fun and the activity happens. So
exactly. So, and I try to direct people, you know, I post stuff from my business page onto my Facebook page, but I will give you guys the heads up. If you follow me on my personal page, I'm a very proud parent and I do post about my kids. So you will have to deal with that. But I do post, you know, some articles and tips and tricks and stuff like that. So I do that. And I'm also on LinkedIn. You can follow me there as well. I love connecting with people, and I really, really like to help people out. And I'm here to answer any questions. You know, we're all in this together. So I believe in success for everybody. So.
Well, that's awesome. We had one person just jump on at the end. If you have a moment, Chuck is on here. He said he has one item that might have already been discussed. So, Chuck, if you want to jump on real quick or just type in the comment box, let's see if we can answer that real quick. Do you have time for that, Michelle?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. Definitely.
So come on board, Chuck.
And you know what? While Chuck's coming on board, let me give you guys, just so everybody has it, my Twitter handle is @tophat_creative.
Okay, I'm typing that in. Hi there, Chuck.
Good morning. Good morning. It's still morning here. I don't know where.
We're in Colorado, where it's 12:30 in the afternoon.
You're a little bit ahead. You're a little bit ahead. Interesting marketing blag managing. That's what grabbed me. Is the headline, of course. Wonderful job. Mm-hmm. I just narrated my associate's weekly editorial for our newspaper in Wisconsin, and it had to do with the phenomenon of fact checking on the internet and how it has affected society, and of course online reputation. And it ties definitely to online reputation.
Oh,
and
definitely.
We just finished another 3-week road trip. We love to travel around the United States and meet people. And one of the outcomes of that is we use services to find out, you know, I've never been to Omaha, Nebraska. Where should I stay? Where should I eat? And obviously I use the directories, and every business should be in the directories. When we read reviews, we only read reviews or put any credence to reviews of people whose pictures are posted and have a history of reviews. Now, for my clientele, and I've been in the food service business for, you know, that's a lot of my clients are in the food service business, and they worry and fret over somebody saying bad things about them online. Right. 95% of those are pictureless, and 95% of those have maybe 1 or 2 posts. So what I encourage people to do is to ignore that and focus only on the positives. Another thing, in their blogs and websites, it's okay to write an article and say, if you're looking for us, read the good reviews. I mean, you're actually asking people to do something, and people are born to want to please. So the other thing that we emphasize is, and I have a plethora of clients who have maybe shady backgrounds, okay? I'm shady. I believe, and I was taught this at a young age, I only care about what you're doing today. I can give a tinker's damn who you were yesterday. Yesterday is dead and gone. Right. And so, again, it's okay for us to say that. Hey, you read something about me? Cool. Let's talk about what I'm doing today. And this is how we, you know, work with young people, old people, and so on. I don't give a damn where you were 10 years ago. It's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant to today, because I live today. I don't live tomorrow, and I don't live yesterday. So I wished I would have heard more about the marketing blag, managing your online reputation. I really think we as individuals put too much emphasis on our online reputation. If you're yourself and doing a good job being yourself, I don't give a damn what you think. I really don't. Because when I go to bed at night, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Chuck. And that's where that consistency comes through, where we're, working with our clients and just putting their best foot forward online. Right. Again, I said this at the beginning, everybody gets a bad review. It just happens.
I hope so.
It just happens. So how you handle it and move on is the best thing forward.
And Chuck, there is a replay of this. It's being recorded. So you can come back and listen to the replay and catch up on everything that we covered today.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for stopping by and sharing your experience with us. Appreciate it.
And thank you very much for doing such a great job.
Well,
awesome. I'm following you on Twitter now, Chuck. So behave yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great day. Well, thanks everybody for being here. You've been on the Marketing Blab with Deborah and with my guest, Michelle Hoglan. Her company is Top Hat Creative Marketing. You can find her online at Facebook and on Twitter and at tophatcreativemarketing.com. So thank you, girlfriend, for being here today. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your busy day. On next Friday, my guest is Vivica Von Rosen. She's the LinkedIn expert. So
I'm definitely coming back.
Jump on and join us then. Yeah, Vivica's great. So you'll get a lot of tasty tips about LinkedIn, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a heartwarming day, and here's to your sweet success. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.